If someone insults you in front of other people, do not react right away. What you do in the next 5 seconds decides who looks weak and who looks strong for the rest of the night. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do every single time this happens to you again. Let me paint the picture first, because you already know this feeling. You're at dinner with friends, or standing in a meeting, or at a family party, and someone throws a comment at you, loud enough for the whole room to hear, sharp enough to sting, and suddenly, every eye is on you. Your face gets hot, your chest tightens, your mind goes blank for a second, and in that blank second, you have to decide, fight, freeze, or handle it like someone who can't be shaken. Most people get this moment wrong. They react too fast, too loud, too emotional, and they lose before they even realize there was a game being played. Today, we're fixing that. 5 things to do, in order, the moment someone tries to embarrass you in front of a crowd. Here's something worth thinking about before we even start. A public insult is different from a private one. When someone criticizes you alone, it's just between the two of you. But the second an audience is added, the whole thing changes shape. It stops being about the actual words, and it turns into a performance. The person insulting you isn't just talking to you anymore, they're performing for everyone else watching. That's an important thing to understand, because it means the real battlefield isn't the insult itself. The real battlefield is how the crowd reads the next 30 seconds. And that's exactly what these 5 steps are going to teach you to control. 1. Freeze your face first. The very first thing you do has nothing to do with your words. It's your face. Before you say anything, before you even think of a comeback, control your face. Here's why this matters so much. The person who just insulted you is not actually watching to hear what you'll say. They're watching your face. They want to see it crack. They want to see your eyes widen, your jaw drop, your cheeks turn red. That reaction is the real prize they're after. Not an argument, not a debate, just that one flash of embarrassment they can point to later and say, "See, I got them." So don't give it to them. The second you feel that hot rush in your face, take one slow breath through your nose and let your face go still. Not angry, not smiling, just calm, almost bored. This is the hardest part of the whole thing, because your body wants to react. Your instincts are screaming at you to defend yourself immediately. But here's the secret nobody tells you. A person who insults you in public has already used their best shot. If your face doesn't move, they have nothing left. The room notices that too. People sitting around you are watching closely, even if it doesn't feel like it, and a calm face reads as strength every single time, while a shocked face reads as a hit that landed. Practice this in your head right now. Imagine someone saying something cruel to you at a party. Picture your face staying completely still. That stillness, that's your armor, and it costs you nothing. There's a reason this works so well. And it comes down to something simple. People read faces faster than they process words. Before your brain even finishes hearing a sentence, your face has already reacted, because that's how humans are wired. The person who insulted you knows this, even if they've never thought about it in these exact words. They're reading your micro-expressions in real time, the twitch near your eyes, the drop in your jaw, the way your shoulders pull inward. When you train yourself to keep that face steady, you're not being fake, you're simply refusing to hand over free information. Think of your face like a locked door. The insult knocks, but nobody answers. And a door that never opens stops getting knocked on. 2. Don't explain yourself yet. Once your face is under control, your mouth is going to want to move next. And this is where most people mess everything up. They start explaining. They start defending. They say things like, "That's not true," or "I didn't mean it like that," or they launch into a whole speech about why the insult is wrong. Here's the problem with that. Explaining yourself too fast, in front of a crowd, makes it look like there's something to explain. It makes it look like the insult actually landed somewhere real, even when it didn't. Think about it from the crowd's point of view. If someone insults you and you instantly panic into a defense, people's brains fill in the gap with doubt. They think, "Why are they so upset about this? Maybe there's some truth in it." But if you stay quiet for just a moment, if you let the insult hang there in the air without rushing to fix it, the crowd starts to feel uncomfortable for the other person instead. Silence is strange to people. It makes them nervous. It makes them wonder what you're thinking, and that wondering is far more powerful than any explanation you could give in the moment. So resist the urge to defend yourself immediately. Let the insult sit there, awkward and exposed, for a few seconds. You'll be shocked how often the room turns against the person who said it, not because of anything you said, but because of what you didn't say. There's a strange kind of pressure that builds in silence, and it doesn't sit on your shoulders, it sits on theirs. Think about the last time you said something and the other person just looked at you without responding. Uncomfortable, right? That discomfort works both ways. When you don't rush to explain yourself, the person who insulted you is left standing there with their comment just hanging in the air, unanswered, unchallenged, and strangely louder because of the quiet around it. A lot of people, once they feel that pressure, start backpedaling on their own. They'll say something like, "I was just joking," or they'll try to laugh it off, because the silence made them uncomfortable enough to want to fill it themselves. You didn't even have to say a word, and they're already trying to undo what they said. 3. Ask one calm question. Now here's where you actually get to speak, but not the way you think. Instead of firing back an insult of your own, or defending yourself with a long explanation, you ask one short, calm question. Something like, "Why would you say that?" Or, "What's going on with you today?" This one move flips the entire situation. Suddenly, the spotlight isn't on you anymore, it's on them. They have to answer. They have to explain their own behavior in front of the same crowd that just watched them try to embarrass you. This works because most insults are not actually well thought out. They're impulsive. They come from a flash of jealousy, or a bad mood, or old insecurity that has nothing to do with you at all. When you ask a calm question instead of clapping back, you force the person to either back down, mumble something weak, or double down and look even worse in front of everyone. Your voice should stay level here, almost curious, like you genuinely want to understand why they said what they said. Never yell the question. Never say it with sarcasm dripping off every word. Say it plainly, like you're actually interested in the answer. That calm curiosity is unsettling to someone who was hoping for a fight, because you're not giving them one, you're giving them a mirror instead, and most people can't handle looking straight into that. You can also adjust this question depending on the situation. If it's someone you barely know, a simple, "That's an odd thing to say, what made you think of that?" works perfectly. If it's someone closer to you, you might say, "That felt out of character for you, are you okay?" Notice how neither of these sounds like an attack. Neither one raises your voice or points a finger. But both of them do the exact same job. They hand the moment right back to the person who started it. They now have to explain themselves in front of the same audience they were trying to impress, and most people, when put on the spot like that, don't actually have a good answer ready. That's the moment you'll see them stumble, and you didn't even have to raise your voice to make it happen. 4. Read the room, not just the insult. While all this is happening, there's something most people completely forget to do, and that's pay attention to everyone else in the room, not just the person who insulted you. The insult is loud, it grabs all your attention, but the room itself is telling you a story too. Some people are laughing along, sure, but watch closely. A lot of them are laughing out of nervousness, not agreement. They're scared that if they don't laugh, they might become the next target. That laughter is not proof that they think the insult was true or funny. It's proof that they're uncomfortable and don't know what else to do. Other people in the room are staying completely silent, and that silence is on your side more often than you'd think. People respect composure. They remember who stayed calm and who spiraled. So instead of measuring your worth by the reaction of the loudest person in the room, that one person who insulted you, start reading everyone else. Are people shifting uncomfortably? Are they avoiding eye contact with the person who said it? That's your real answer. That's the room quietly telling you who actually looked bad in that moment, and it's usually not you. Learning to read a room like this takes practice, but once you start doing it, you'll realize insults land so much softer when you understand that most of the audience isn't even really on the insulter's side, they're just too nervous to show it. Here's a trick that makes this easier. After the insult happens, instead of staring straight at the person who said it, let your eyes move naturally across the room for just a second, like you're checking in with everyone else. You'll notice things you missed before. Someone glancing down at their drink instead of laughing. Someone giving a tight, awkward smile instead of an honest one. Someone quietly changing the subject a few seconds later, almost like they're trying to rescue the moment. All of that is information, and all of it tells you the same thing. The room is far less united behind that insult than it might have felt in the first shocked second after it was said. Once you see that clearly, the insult itself starts to shrink, because you realize it was never as big of a moment as it felt. 5. Let your later actions finish the story. Here's the last piece, and honestly, it's the most powerful one, even though it happens after the moment is already over. You don't need to win the argument in that exact second. You don't need the perfect comeback right there on the spot. What actually finishes the story, what people remember weeks and months later, is how you carried yourself afterward. Did you let that insult wreck your whole night? Did you keep replaying it in your head, getting angrier and angrier? Or did you shake it off, keep talking to people, keep smiling, keep being exactly who you were before that comment was even made? That's the real revenge, if you want to call it that. Not a sharp comeback, but proof, through your actions, that their words had absolutely no power over you. People who insult others in public are usually looking for a reaction that confirms they got to you. When you deny them that, not just in the moment, but for the rest of the night, the rest of the week, the rest of your life, you take away everything they were hoping to gain. And if it's someone who matters to you, a close friend, a family member, someone you'll see again, you can always circle back later, privately, calmly, and say what needs to be said, away from the crowd, away from the pressure of an audience. But in the public moment itself, your calm, steady presence, carried all the way through, that's what people remember. Not the insult, you. Think about the people you actually respect in your own life. Chances are, it's not the ones who win every argument with the sharpest comeback. It's the ones who seem unbothered no matter what gets thrown at them, the ones who walk through a room with steady shoulders even after something rough just happened. That kind of presence isn't something you're simply born with, it's something you build, one moment at a time, every time you choose calm over chaos. And every single time you get through a public insult without letting it wreck you, you're not just protecting your reputation in that room, you're training your own mind to believe that words alone can't knock you down. That belief, once it's built, becomes something no insult can ever fully touch again. So let's put it all together. Freeze your face first. Don't let them see the hit land. Hold off on explaining yourself. Let the silence do some work. Ask one calm question and flip the spotlight back onto them. Read the room instead of just the insult, because most people are on your side more than you think. And finally, let your calm afterward finish the story better than any comeback ever could. Being insulted in front of others feels like the whole world is watching and waiting for you to break. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Most people forget the exact words within a day. What they remember, what actually sticks, is whether you stayed steady or fell apart. And calm is not weakness. Calm is control, and control is something nobody can take from you unless you hand it over yourself. The next time you feel that hot rush rise up in your chest, that instant urge to snap back, remember that you already have a plan now. Face still, mouth quiet. One calm question, eyes on the room. And a steady walk out of that moment, no matter what was said. You don't need the perfect comeback, you never did. You just need to be the person who didn't flinch, and let that be the only thing anyone remembers about that night. If you're ready to stop letting other people control how you react, hit subscribe right now.